Welcome to Nerds Amalgamated, a podcast that covers the latest events in science, pop culture, and gaming.
I'm the professor, aspiring game developer, sci-fi aficionado, and completely and undeniably a geek trying to take over the world. I'll be breaking down the news from tech to gaming.
I am the DJ, a humble nerd, a big weeb,
and a watcher from the halls of the multiverse.
Just kidding. Anyways, I'll be breaking down all things comics to movies to anime.
Join us and stay hydrated as we quench you with witty banter, unintentionally hilarious hot takes, and trivia more fun than a night at the pub, courtesy of Nerds Amalgamated. Welcome back to Nerds Amalgamated. This week we're talking about Stop Killing Games going to the European Parliament, and Ubisoft being sued by the French consumer rights organisation, the Artemis II mission, and the 2026 Crunchyroll Anime Award nominations.
By the way, Professor, happy Easter. Hope you're enjoying those Easter eggs.
Can't afford them. You know you're in a cost of living crisis when you can't afford the Easter eggs.
Oh man, the other day I saw like one Easter bunny was costing like $7.50. I'm just going, Jesus!
Yeah, I saw photos from a couple of weeks ago. They were selling so poorly that they, the lint bunnies, I think it was, were 50% off 2 weeks ago.
I think by Monday those bunnies are gonna cost a whole lot less by Monday.
Well, that's what you'd think. The last few years, I haven't bothered buying chocolate before Easter. I just go and buy it after Easter. First thing Monday morning, when you'd think there'd still be something left on the shelves, they're completely gone. So they must be packing them up and shipping them to a warehouse somewhere.
Oh damn! Yeah, what's even crazier is the fact that people buy them and then mail them as well. You're becoming crazier by the time.
Anyway, as of a few days ago, it's become public that I'm going to get this terribly wrong, the UFS-Que Choisir, a French consumer rights activism group. Oh great, we're doing well today. I'm hardly even starting and already can't speak. Are suing Ubisoft for shutting down The Crew. And the key reason is because of the contract conditions that they consider abusive. They say, and translated into English from the French article, that the UFC, I'm not going to try pronouncing that again, believes that by brutally depriving players of any access to The Crew, Ubisoft has infringed the essential rights of consumers. So they're suing because Ubisoft has chosen to deny the right of ownership of consumers on purchased games, withdraw any access to the game without guaranteeing it or maintaining an alternative mode of operation for consumers, to make use of the game subject to online services that may be interrupted at any time by the publisher, and to exclude any refund of sums credited by consumers to their Ubisoft electronic wallet. And that's pushing a bit further than the Stop Killing Games movement was initially asking. But I think that's not anything to worry about because you usually get a fraction of what you're asking for. When you negotiate. So you ask for something significantly more than you think you're going to get. And whatever you hopefully then get what you really want. Anything else is a bonus.
So it's basically a war of attrition.
No, it's not really attrition. It's more about knowing that you'll get a fraction of what you ask for. So you ask for more than you really need to make sure that you get what you need and anything else is a bonus.
Okay, yeah.
So the UFC's article also points out that Ubisoft never informed the players of the expiration date until they decided they were going to shut it down, and that when the game was initially sold, there would have been no indication of when the game would end. Which I saw in Ruscott's video. He makes a good point. If you have a book, when do the words in the book expire?
By that logic, the Bible, one of the oldest books in known to man, it should have been expired like 10 years after it's been made, you know.
But that's the thing. It's not like a publisher can take a book back from you, although they are trying with ebooks.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you buy a book, they can't take it back from you. If you buy an ebook, they can try to take it back from you. But ebooks are much easier to copy and keep around afterwards. It's just that they will remove it from your downloads page store. as happened quite a few years ago now when Microsoft, I think it was, shut down their ebook service. No, it wasn't even shut down. It was before that. They took 1984 out of people's libraries because they messed up the licenses and didn't have the license to sell 1984.
George Orwell was right all along.
Destroying books is more of a Fahrenheit 451 thing.
uh,
In Fahrenheit 451, I feel like that's more relevant because books are completely illegal. So it's not just that they're rewriting the books, it's that they ban the books entirely. And at the end of the story, the main character goes to a village of outcasts who have fled society, where everyone memorizes a book and is known as that book. So you're like, hi, I'm Great Expectations. Or hi, I'm Twilight.
oh, no!
Yeah, I feel like Twilight isn't the highest priority for people to memorize in that situation, but you get the
Oh, can you
idea.
imagine just like triplets? It's like, hi, I'm Hunger Games 1, Hunger Games 2, Hunger Games 3.
Yeah, that would make so there's a French series. Like, this is getting way off topic. But
Yeah.
if I gave you $1 for every time a French author from the 70s wrote a sci-fi story about a train on a planet that is frozen over, you'd have $2. Not a lot, but weird that it happened twice, right?
Yeah.
There's a French series called The Ice Company, which is about people living on a frozen earth, big cities that are somehow kept warm, and trains going between them, with like 99 books in the series. I have no idea how long they are. I don't speak any French, so I kind of want to learn French so I can read them.
Okay,
But
so from what
yeah,
you
there's
described, it's 97 post-apocalyptic science fiction novels, and yeah, it was adapted in part of the TV series Grand Star. That was called.
there was an anime adaptation.
Yeah.
And the first book is translated into English with like a synopsis of all the other books that had been published up to the point the translation was made. But I don't want to read the English version because I'm worried if I do, I'll get really into it and then not be able to get the other 96 books. And then I'll be upset because I can't read the whole series.
Your life will your life will certainly revolve around those 97.
It would. I also know I have the kind of personality where if I did start reading those books, I would read them, for the rest of my life. I've just got a thing for post-apocalyptic train stories.
You and trains. I don't know what
Hey,
it
I'm
is.
autistic.
I'm not. I didn't even say anything about that. You just dumped that on. I didn't say anything at all about that. But on about Ubisoft's defense, looking at some of the quotes, they said that the association finds it unacceptable that Ubisoft considers, in its general terms and conditions, that players only acquire a simple use license for the game, which can be revoked at any time by the publisher.
Yeah, that's the key issue here. That's the whole thing Stop Killing Games is fighting about. Because from the publisher's point of view, it's really convenient for us to have a license and not the full ownership,
game.
because then they can modify it or take it off us or basically do whatever they want. From a consumer rights point of view, it's really bad because most things that are like video games aren't sold as a license. But the people who make them would love to be able to do that because then they can screw us over whenever.
Mhm.
Like, imagine if your car was licensed.
Oh,
Could they come and take your car off you 10 years down the line after you've paid it off and you've been using it? Right, you buy it outright and then they come and take it off you a few years later.
It's fascinating you mentioned that because Tesla's over the years have been doing this whole subscription model kind of thing, which I find it really weird.
Yeah, and I went to a hacking conference the other day
Yeah.
where they were demonstrating hacks on a car.
Oh shit.
I'm just gonna say I'm glad my car is not internet connected.
Nope. Yeah, I don't know why people are so obsessed with EVs. And I know, I mean, I know they're environmentally friendly and stuff, but why are
Well,
people so obsessed with it?
it's not even an EV problem. It's a
Mm.
modern car problem. Like back in about 2015, I think it was,
Yeah.
Some hackers demonstrated how they could take over a car's braking system using a like wirelessly by hacking the entertainment, which should not be a thing that can happen. Those should be isolated.
I've seen too many videos of people breaking into cars, and they can mess up your car electronics very easily to disable stuff, and I'm just going, nope, nope, I'm
Well,
not doing this.
I'm pretty sure the thing I'm thinking of was over Bluetooth. I'm just going to try to find it.
While you're finding it though, so with this entire court case, if UFC-Q Choisir wins this, what actually happens? Does Ubisoft have to restore the crew, pay compensation, or just change their future contracts?
Here we go. It was 2013, it looks like. There's an Ars Technica article.
Okay.
But on your question, I like that you're not even bothering to try to pronounce Que Choisir.
Yeah.
But yes, the desirable end goal would be to have it codified into law that nobody can take a game off you that you've paid for. Because one of the other problems is that Ubisoft have removed the crew from people's libraries. So it should be codified that they can't do that and that they have to allow you to run custom servers.
Realistically, though, how long will this court case take, and could Ubisoft appeal it all the way up?
It could take years. I mean, it's taken 2 years since Stop Killing Games started, so it could take years. That's how the legal system works. But
Yeah.
ideally, when this is all over, we'll have a much better system.
I hope so. And then the other question I also have to wonder though is, are other publishers watching this case nervously, or have any of them already just quietly changed their policies because of Stop Killing Games? Because that movement's been gaining a lot of traction, so you would expect companies to go, "Oh crap, this movement. Okay, change your policy, guys."
Yeah, it's mostly indie devs who are changing their policies so far, which just proves that it's not such a prohibitive thing to do to make it possible for your game to live on beyond your support. If an indie dev with vastly fewer resources can do it, Ubisoft can do it.
Yeah. It's also interesting that this is not the first time Ubisoft has been sued. I mean, two Californians also have sued Ubisoft before, and you have to wonder, could the ruling in America conflict with the ruling in France, or could they reinforce each other? Like, would they be at
Do
odds,
you
or
know nothing about how countries work? This isn't the
okay,
one
say it
world government.
I mean, but then some legal precedents could, from one
No,
country could. Wait, what was that?
no.
No.
The fact that there was a court case in one country does not mean that there's a precedent in another country. We all have different laws.
Okay,
If
yeah,
there's a precedent established in one country, it only applies to that country.
yeah. So you're thinking there'll be a ruling conflict if that's the case?
Yeah, I think there could be a conflict between what they say in California and what they say in France. But you know what? That doesn't bloody matter because they're different countries.
All right. Yeah, that's true. So with these sort of cases, should I stop buying always online games entirely until it is resolved, or are there safer ways to protect my purchases right now?
Yeah, you kind of just got to stop buying online games until this is resolved. One way or the other. If
Yep.
it's if you prove that you won't like if enough people and gamers are notoriously bad at voting with their wallets, if enough people boycott always online games, they will be forced to make a difference. If they don't and keep buying it, eventually this lawsuit will go through and it will determine whether, at least in France, whether you have the right to keep a game after it's shut down. But if the lawsuit fails and you don't vote with your wallet, nothing's going to change.
The other interesting thing you have to consider is Ubisoft, as scummy of a company it's is going through as they are, is also going through a bit of a takeover, being trying to be bought by Tencent and a couple of other companies, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
So if Ubisoft folds or get acquired before this case, does this lawsuit just disappear into legal limbo, or
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I think it would continue against the new owners. Because otherwise, that would be a really easy to exploit loop.
and also if a judge rules against, are we essentially admitting that regulators completely failed consumers for the entire history of digital game sales, or who should be held accountable?
I don't know if anyone needs to be held accountable because you don't normally hold people accountable for an oversight like this. So I don't know where you'd even begin to do that. Like your politicians, maybe.
Or maybe the lawmakers, or the
Yeah.
or the game devs themselves?
Well, I think it's more of a publisher issue than a developer issue. I think a lot of developers would love for their games to continue being played. I think it's the publishers who are trying to milk every dollar out of it are the reason for this being a thing.
I find it wild that that Ross Scott, a guy best known for the Half-Life series, has done more for digital consumer rights than every gaming journalist, politics, or consumer group combined for most of the past decade.
Yeah, he is the face of Stop Killing Games. He is also the voice of Gordon Freeman in the series Freeman's Mind.
Yep.
And it's kind of how grassroots stuff works. Someone who has a platform and is passionate about a thing uses it to push for change about the thing that they're passionate about.
Yeah. I will say this though. If this case succeeds and sets a global precedent, you're going to see a lot of historians looking back at this and ask an entire generation of consumers that signed away their property rights for entertainment, and the answer will be that nobody told them because the people should have were too busy reviewing the next AAA release.
So you're blaming this on reviewers.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I guess you can. That reviewers should have stood up earlier, but yeah, I don't know if it's anyone's fault other
Yeah.
than the people who pushed to change it to a license model in first place.
Curiously, though, what's Yves Goulimon's defense to this entire debacle?
I have no idea.
Because this is his company, and and he is the face of Ubisoft. And you would think like, damn, my company's getting a very big hit from this sort of debacle.
Yeah, I just have no clue like what he said about it.
Although, in the end, is there a version of this debate where both publishers and consumers walk away satisfied? Like, what would that compromise actually look like in practice?
That's a tough question. I don't know what would satisfy the publishers. And I don't think anyone from the publisher side has really come to the table to negotiate with Stop Killing Games yet. It's all been excuses and reasons to stop the movement. So yeah, I think it's definitely something that could be negotiated about further.
Fair enough.
Anyway, let's move on to our next topic, the Artemis II mission. How much do you
So,
know
oh,
about the
sorry.
Artemis missions, DJ?
So all I know is that it's a trip to the moon, and it's sending 4 astronauts aboard the Orion spacecraft named Integrity, and it was launched at Cape Canaveral on April 1st, 2026. And no, it is not an April Fool's joke.
Yes, although it would be hilarious for them to come back and for all of us to be dressed as apes.
Oh, no! What have you done?
We blew it up!
So the crew consists of NASA astronauts Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Koch, along with Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. It is the first crewed mission of the Orion spacecraft and the first crewed mission beyond low Earth orbit since Apollo 17 in 1972.
Wait, the first crewed mission of the Orion?
But it's
I'm
yeah,
surprised I haven't done one before.
huh?
I somehow missed that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have thought they would have done crewed missions to low Earth orbit and on shorter trips just while they worked stuff out. But if they're confident that it's going to work, they're the experts.
So Artemis II in many ways is a 21st century version of NASA's Apollo 8 mission, which sent the first astronauts around the moon in 1968. It is an approximately 10-day mission with key objectives including demonstrating life support systems for the first time with the crew and laying the foundation for an enduring presence on the moon ahead of future missions to Mars. During a planned lunar flyby on April 6th, the astronauts will photograph and observe the moon's surface, becoming the first people to see some areas of the far side with its own eyes.
Yep. They will be checking to make sure there's no Nazi base up there.
Or Pink Floyd. If you know, you know.
I think everyone knows Pink.
Yeah, yeah. So Artemis II will reach a maximum distance of 252,757 miles from Earth, breaking the all-time human distance record set by Apollo 13 in 1970. On their return, they will also become the fastest humans in history, re-entering Earth's atmosphere at over 250,000 miles per hour before splashing down in the Pacific Ocean.
Zoom.
Yeah. NASA's new plan aims to increase the pace of Artemis missions, targeting crewed lander by 2028 and a moon base by 2032. The mission is fundamentally a test flight, proving out the hardware so future crews can land on the lunar surface with confidence, and thus we might get the lunar theme park.
Yeah, we've got another 900 years to sort that out.
So some of the quotes I got from them were interesting. According to NASA's administrator Jared Isaacman, he says, "quote Today's launch marks a defining moment for our nation and for all who believe in exploration. Artemis II builds on the vision set by President Donald Trump, returning humanity to the moon for the first time in more than 50 years and opening the next chapter of lunar exploration beyond Apollo."
Yeah, I'm quietly a bit hyped for this mission
Oh yeah.
because there's so many cool things that can be done with a moon base. We could start mining on the moon, which would make it much easier to build a big spaceship. It's a lot easier to get stuff off the moon than it is to get it off Earth.
What my query is, what will the astronauts actually do during the flyby? Are they just passengers, or they're just actively running experiments and piloting the spacecraft?
Well, we know that they have some experiments to do,
Mm.
but they also seem to have some time for recreation because they were allowed to bring personal laptops, including one which had an issue with Outlook. So we have on the radio from the Orion mission capsule, the astronaut saying, "Houston, I have a problem. I've got 2 copies of Outlook and none of them are working." And tech support, they were doing tech support over the lunar mission radio.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how does the inside of the Orion capsule look and feel like for 4 people to live in there for 10 days.
It's smaller than you would like.
Is it as small as living in a submarine, or
Similar. And you have to put on ear protection to use the toilet.
oh no.
Because the toilets have a vacuum in them
Yeah.
to keep everything sucked down and stop it from floating away. Apparently that vacuum is super loud, and they're
Yeah.
already having problems with it. So that'll be something to iron out before the next mission.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. What if something goes wrong near the moon? Like, is there a realistic rescue plan coming along?
No, not at all. Like, not to laugh at the idea of people dying, but there
Yeah.
is no way, if they're out at the moon, there is no way to get to them at all.
Mhm.
And if they are beyond help if anything goes wrong, so you need everything to be perfect.
Oh yeah, definitely. What you were saying about the flyby missions? That's what I was wondering. Why does a flyby mission matter so much though? Like, why not just go straight to the landing? Because when we did the moon landing, everyone was really hyped about it. It was like, yeah, the moon landing, yeah, it's so cool. Like a flyby mission feels like, we've done this one too many times now.
Yeah, well, it's all a test of the new systems because they have, since the 60s, they've completely redeveloped the entire space program. So they launched on the Space Launch System. They're riding in an Orion capsule, and that's all new stuff. So they need to make sure that it is absolutely locked in before they risk humans on a landing.
So that
And
explains.
yeah, if
Sorry,
they
I was gonna say. So that explains
go,
why. Oh, no, you
no,
first.
yeah, if they screw up and get people killed, that is a huge setback.
That's what I was wondering. Like, why hasn't it taken over 50 years to send the humans back to the moon? And why make what finally made it happen now? But then you answered the
Partly
question
because
already.
the science of the time was at its limits, and a lot of the space program was a way to prove that, like, was to develop weaponry. It wasn't the forefront of the idea, but there were proposals to nuke the moon to prove to the Russians that it could be done and that nowhere was safe on Earth. So yeah, it's sort of showing off against the Russians, the whole thing, and that's why there was a space race. And then, yeah, the Russians stopped trying as hard after moon landing, and there was nothing left to prove. Most of the science that could be done on the moon could be done by robots. So they just stopped sending people to the moon.
Okay. You know how also you were saying about Outlook not working in the moon and they had to call tech support.
Yeah.
What's also interesting is that the Orion capsule has it streamed live HD from deep space as well. So
Yes.
how does deep space communication actually work, and where are its limits on this one?
Well, it's really cool. They have better internet than most Australians.
Oh
It
shit!
maxes out at something like 800 megabits per second, and it's laser based.
Shit!
Yeah, so they're pointing lasers at the spacecraft and encoding the messagings. Basically, fiber optics without the fiber.
Oh, dude. I would
But
be
the
so.
ping, you are
Oh,
not
that's.
going to be playing Counter Strike on the moon.
Imagine starting up your own Wikipedia.
What do
That
you
would be
mean
it.
by your own Wikipedia?
You start. Imagine if if Earth internet decides to go. You know what? Screw it. We're gonna shut down all the internet. You're in space.
That would be another great April Fool's joke. Just send a message like the nukes are coming, and then cut the internet for the space probe, and wait for them to come back and be like, "Surprise, we're not all dead."
Oh, jeez. So, given the Artemis II is essentially a systems test, at what point does NASA decide the technology is mature enough to actually land someone? Like, where is the threshold?
Sorry, ask that again.
So, given how Artemis II is essentially a systems test, at what point does NASA decide this technology is mature enough to actually land someone? Where is the What's the threshold?
Well, it really depends on how well this mission, but they need to be absolutely sure that it's safe, like I said before.
Yeah.
And yeah, that could take just this mission. It
Yep.
could take another 2 or 3 missions. But I think the way they've got it planned out is, like you said, to have a manned landing in the next 2 years, I think it was.
2032. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bit further away than I was thinking. Okay. So yeah, a manned landing in 6 years. That's plenty of time to iron out any bugs.
Yeah, I get that, but then by the time they try and iron out the bugs, like you get like private companies doing it as well. Like Elon Musk was saying at one point that NASA is too slow and too expensive. I mean, he might not be entirely wrong, but could you see the future of space flight during the time NASA is doing this sort of technology be with private companies? And is Artemis essentially a government jobs program dressed as exploration?
Well, a lot of NASA has traditionally been a government jobs program. It's why, in some cases, the design of the space shuttle was such that it's basically the biggest you could make each part and still ship it. Because rather than building it on site, they built it in all these different states and brought it together at the end. So there's an apocryphal story that the size of the space shuttle is determined by the width of a horse's ass because Roman roads were 2 horses wide, and then through the next couple of thousand years, everything that we built to go on roads stayed about that width because that was the size of the roads, so you can't build it bigger. And all the tunnels were that size, and then they built the space shuttle, and it was that size because it had to be carried on the road.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm forgetting a few steps, but basically the apocryphal story is that the space shuttle is the way it is because of the size of a horse.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's always been kind of a jobs program. But it also does some really great science. It like NASA makes a profit on everything they do. Even if like not just philosophically the return on investment for science, but the stuff that they do has actual monetary value.
You also forgot about my space human private companies with space
Oh,
flight.
yeah, I don't see commercial entities beating NASA because I don't think most of the commercial entities have desire to go to them other than to show off because there's not a whole lot of money making opportunity. We're not ready to mine the moon. And the technology's a long way off as well because like SpaceX make a big deal about how they're going to use the Starship to go and explore the universe. But Starship is still blowing up on the launch pad. And there's something to be said for the move fast and break things way that they're doing things. But you can't do that with people.
Nah, nah, it'd be it's very tricky with when you have humans into the mix.
Yeah. When you're just looking at robots or probes, it's kind of okay to crash at times.
Hmm.
But you kill one human,
Oh,
and then you're a murderer.
remember the Columbia space mission, and when that shit show happened, how much damage control NASA had to for that? Or even worse, Challenger. Challenger it must have been even worse.
Yeah, Columbia and Challenger were serious setbacks for human
Space.
spaceflight.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was wondering. If this mission has any serious failure, the political will to continue Artemis will evaporate. Or meaning the entire future of NASA's space program is riding on four people in a camper van sized capsule surviving 10 days. And that's scary.
Yep. But I think we should move on again to the
Hmm.
Crunchyroll Anime Award nominees. Who are they?
Ah, yes. So the Crunchyroll revealed its 10th annual Anime Awards, and for the headline, the show's nominated for Anime of the Year is Dandadan Season 2, Gachi Akuta, My Hero Academia Final Season, Taco Pia's Original Sin, The Apothecary Diaries Season 2, and The Summer Hikaru Died, with Dandadan Season 2 leading the pack with 20 nominations total. On the film side, the nominees for Film of the Year are 100 Meters, Chainsaw Man, the movie Reze Arc, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Infinity Castle, Mononoke, the movie Chapter 2, The Ashes of Rage, Scarlet, and The Rose of Vasilis, with Chainsaw Man receiving the most nominations of any film with 13, while Demon Slayer scored 8, including Best Score. So this ceremony will mark the 10th anniversary of the Anime Awards, with Crunchyroll noting the past nominees will have included over 110 animation studios, nearly 290 unique series and films, and more than 220 voice actors. Fans can vote every day through April 15th on the Anime Awards official website, Crunchyroll, and My Anime List, with the ceremony streaming live from Tokyo on May 23rd. So,
And who
Loeb,
do you think is going to win?
sorry. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I want Solo Leveling to win it, but they have unfortunately been snubbed, bastards. Because apparently, season 2 of Solo Leveling got snubbed. The crazy part is this was Crunchyroll's biggest and newest anime series of the year, and for a roughly 2 month span, it completely dominated the anime conversation. This snub felt like felt even more controversial because season 1 won the award. So I'm like, what the hell? But it's not just Solo Leveling that got snubbed as well. Spy X Family season 3 got snubbed. Grand Blue Dreaming got snubbed. Witch Watch as well. Uh, Bond, the Boundary of Adulthood, and they're saying that the common thread between these snubs is what the outlook Outlet One noted that the awards utilize a hybrid system of industry judges and public voting, meaning series with massive marketing budgets or mainstream appeal naturally secure high visibility, leaving smaller or mid-tier titles in the cold. So I wanted Solo Leveling to do it with it, but no, it's not happening. Pretty pissed. But what's interesting with this sort of award ceremony is the fact that it's a fan voted award show.
Yeah, we know that's not gonna go wrong.
That's the thing. Like that's the interesting thing because last year when Solo Leveling won 9 awards, last year, the conversation turned into, instead of celebrating anime by voting and having fun with it, it turned into my anime is better than yours. Your anime is shit. Like it turned into a popularity contest, if anything.
That's all a community voted award show ever is.
Like, does it show? So does fan voted shows are voted shows basically capable of being a legitimate measure of artistic merit, or is it just a popularity contest overall?
No, I reckon they're just popularity contests. Unless you're sampling a. Right, the problem is you're not going to get a very good sample. You might get a huge sample size, but you're going to be limited in the type of people who respond.
It's interesting you mention that because the awards have been criticized for favoring popularity over the merit. With decision with when Solo Leveling won the awards, they were saying like, "Oh, it's only you only won it because people found it popular." And
Yep.
a lot of people were questioning whether the awards prioritize hype and recency bias over artistic merit.
It's the same problem with the Steam Awards every year.
Yeah, I'm just I'm also questioning that if the awards are generally about celebrating anime craft, wouldn't animators, translators, and studio workers be the one voting, not the fans consume the product?
Well, there is something to be said for having those sorts of people doing the voting.
I mean, and not to mention these workers, they work through brutal conditions. The translators make the show accessible globally, and smaller studios take the creative risk, and none of them have any say in what these anime celebrate, what the awards celebrate, and that says everything about who the show is really for.
Okay.
Yeah, so and also the other problem is with Crunchyroll is it's fascinating seeing the Crunchyroll Anime Awards surviving this long, since Crunchyroll has been going through a lot of headaches over the years, and also what was it a few days ago, another Crunchyroll breach.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yep. So it's surprising. What's surprising is the fact that Crunchyroll is still going even after all this damage. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting few months. Who wins the award? Who wins this year for Anime of the Year? I'm putting my bets for this year. If Solo Leveling was now that Solo Leveling's been snubbed, I'm betting My Hero Academia final season to win it, because that'll be the perfect send off, since that series, as heavily divisive that series has been, it
Right, so
has.
you're not voting it based on the quality. You're voting for it because you think it's a good send off for the ending of the series.
Yes, yes. Yes,
So
I
you've just
will.
admitted that you're not voting based on quality. Doesn't that defeat the point?
Yeah.
It's not about what makes the best story, it's about the quality of the work.
Yeah, I could say that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. You're right. The anime of the year shouldn't be based on popularity. It should be based on prestige. So now I need to rethink my voting now. Damn it! Thanks a lot, Professor. Thanks for thanks for changing my mind.
You're welcome. Anyway, we'll take a short break and be back with our shoutouts. For shoutouts this week, we have the 10th anniversary of the release of the HTC Vive, the first of the modern VR headsets produced by a partnership between HTC and Valve. I've actually got mine sitting on my desk right now. And yeah, it definitely shows its age. The screen door effect is intense, but I think it's it jump-started us into the last, along with the Oculus, jump-started us in the last decade of VR stuff. And even though companies like Meta are winding down their VR divisions, I'm still hopeful that it'll stick around.
I'm also surprised that hate's still a thing. Like, wow, they've survived for a long time. Like, I used to remember HTC as a phone brand, but wow, they went to VR. That's amazing.
Yep.
Wasn't there also a problem with HTC as a VR company with the whole Facebook
No,
account debacle, or was that
that
different?
was Oculus.
Ah,
Oculus got bought by Facebook, who then renamed themselves Meta because they decided we're gonna be the metaverse. And now they're winding down the metaverse stuff, and yeah, it's who knows? Are they going to keep the name?
I feel sorry for the employees that worked on that thing for years.
Yeah. And on the 3rd of April 2000, we had the United States versus Microsoft Corp, a decisive court case in the antitrust realm, where Microsoft is ruled to have violated United States antitrust law by keeping an oppressive thumb on its competitors. Basically, Microsoft made it incredibly difficult to uninstall Internet Explorer and use other programs, and were taken to court for it in 1998, where eventually they were ruled against for unlawful monopolization under the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890. Then that decision was overturned by the Court of Appeals in 2001. But the two parties, being the USA and Microsoft apparently, reached a settlement where Microsoft agreed to modify their business practices.
Huh.
And that's the reason why we can still install alternative browsers. Although there's definitely something to be said about Chrome being like Google literally pumps money into Mozilla, who make Firefox, because they don't want to get sued for the same reason as Microsoft was sued. And what is our messed up moment this week, Jay?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, Professor. I am glad you asked. You ever watched the movie The Passion of Christ?
I saw it a few Easters ago.
So,
Basically Saw, but for Christians.
uh-huh. So you want to play Jesus, do you? There's a Bible verse in this post-ascension visits a man named Ananias and tells him about the notorious Christ Christian killer Saul, who would later become a legendary apostle Paul. He told Ananias to go visit the hater and suggest, I will show him how much he must suffer for my name's sake. We're imagining something similar for Jim Caviezel on the set of Passion of the Christ. Jim was busted up when he finished shooting The Passion. He got a legitimate acting experience when playing Jesus. For starters, he was struck by lightning when prepping for the Sermon on the Mount scene. His body armor failed to pocket his ribs while being whipped, allowing him to feel the brunt of the blow from the Roman soldiers, and he separated his shoulder while carrying the cross. And I've looked into it, and here's the full injury list that he had to go through. Okay, here's the full. So he got accidentally whipped twice, which had left a 14-inch scar on his back. Dislocated shoulder from the weight of the cross. He also admitted he was struck by lightning while filming the Sermon on the Mount, and during the crucifixion, his hair actually caught fire from this, and but he was also he was otherwise miraculously unharmed. Although in 2023, the actor revealed that he was taken to the hospital and actually died for a few minutes, which made him feel even closer to God when he was revived. The scenes of him hanging from the cross in the dead of Italian winter, with temperatures of 25 degrees Fahrenheit, which is minus 4 degrees Celsius, and 30-knot winds, caused him to contract hypothermia and pneumonia. Finally, because makeup was used to create a swollen eye, his lack of depth perception gave him migraine headaches.
Yeah,
So, you want
like I know that almost everyone involved in this movie was very Christian,
to. Uh huh.
but from my point of view, getting struck by lightning is sort of the traditional way to be smited by God.
Yeah.
So after you've been smoked once, would you really continue to make the film? Apparently, yes.
What was crazier about this was Mel Gibson had a Canadian priest, Friar Stephen Somerville, celebrate the traditional Roman Catholic Latin Mass of the Apostolic Rite for the film crew. each day before the production began. Yeah, you've been blessed 3 times by God. Man. So yeah, that's my messed up moment in nerddom with all the damage. Would you want to play as Jesus if they
Nah,
no?
I don't think I would. Although I did see a game is just been announced called I Am Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's an old game.
Is it? I saw a trailer for it just the other day that was acting like it was new. Anyway, there was a comment on it saying, I saw the title and imagined this was going to be about Jesus trying to convince people that, like, the return of Jesus, the second coming, was going to be trying to convince people that he was the real Jesus and getting arrested and all that. And yeah, it's I could see that making a funny movie.
The game has officially been released. Okay, so the game has been released, but the demo came out on 2023. Okay. Another crazy part, there is actually a YouTube channel called Jesus Christ.
Doesn't surprise me. Well, for our wacky movie, we have The Saint from the 3rd of April 1997. The Saint is Simon Templar, a thief for hire whose latest job is to steal the secret process for cold fusion, which puts him at odds with a traitor bent on toppling the Russian government as well as the woman who holds its secret. Apparently there have been multiple movies about Simon Templar, aka The Saint, dating back to the late 1930s, including a 1960s television series starring Roger Moore. Have you ever seen this movie, DJ?
I saw this years and years ago when I was in my younger years. Yeah, that was a very interesting movie. Especially with Val Kilmer, fresh off the Batman movies.
Yeah, there were a lot of big names attached to this at one point or another. Apparently, it would feature, one version of it was going to feature a guy skydiving while strapped into a wheelchair, and a plane landing in Red Square, which I'm pretty sure happened in real life. Yes, Matthias Rust, a German aviator. He flew from Helsinki in Finland to Moscow without authorization and landed in Red Square.
Oh, I'm surprised no one has shot that plane down for that stunt to not
Yeah,
happen.
I think a lot of people just never like they never thought of this sort of stuff until it happened, which is weird. But yeah, it's amazing that anyone would let a unidentified aircraft fly that close to Red Square today. Yes, apparently some of the names involved at one point or another, or who were invited to be cast in it, included Hugh Grant, Kenneth Branagh, Mel Gibson, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Christian Slater, George Clooney, Kevin Costner, Johnny Depp, and Daniel Day-Lewis.
See, I can't see Arnie. A big muscle man as a thief, a thief
Yeah,
for
he'd get
hire.
stuck in an air vent.
I can't stuck. I'm stuck. Mel Gibson around that time, I think, still doing a lethal. Oh no, Braveheart was 996, wasn't it?
I have no idea.
Braveheart. That was 995. So 2 years afterwards. Yeah, I could see it. Yeah, see it.
Yeah, well, this sounds interesting. A thief turned anti-hero who, yes, I might track down some of the books from the 30s. I think they should probably be public domain by now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Still, that's all we have for you this week. Look after yourself, stay hydrated, and we'll see you next time.
Check out our podcast on Spotify and all your platforms. We're available on social media. We also do gameplay streams on Twitch. We also have a Ko-fi page where you can support the podcast, and in return, you can get Discord access. Thanks to our friends at Beyond You Global, we're now collaborating with Insert Coin Clothing. They're the leading name in video game clothing. If you want some beautiful video game clothing, check out their website at www.insertcoinclothing.com. And also thanks to our friends at Res for their lovely energy formula for the long game. And get a 10% discount when you type nerds at the Drink Res website. All details will be on our show notes. Stay happy, stay nerdy. See you guys.